Morning, everyone. Nice to see you all here today. I am your host, Tony Gilfillan. This is the Wake Up Workday Morning Show. We yesterday were not able to do what I wanted to do, but we were able to play around with some of the cursor agent view, so that was fun. Um, I do want to jump back to the app I was building, that stock notification app. Now I want to actually dive into actually putting in some AI into our app by using the Claude API to pull back some relevant information about stock data that we pull. So let's jump over to it. All right. So what I have here is just a postman for the Anthropic messages API. So we're essentially trying to get our Claude API to return some sort of information based on a prompt that we're sending. Right now, I am using an API key that I pulled from Claude, and then I stuck that into my Postman vault. So we're able to use that key securely. And then I'm running into a little error that I need to fix. I'm pretty sure I'm referencing a model that is not referenceable anymore. So check Claude documentation on why this model is not found anymore. Probably an outdated. Let's go ahead and jump over to Claude API, Anthropic. For developer. Like it's got Claude baked into its documentation. That's handy. API doc. In the messages guide, developer guide. Curl. Try this. Claude Sonnet 4.5. I think all of the issues yesterday from Cloudflare problems are fixed. All right, so we got a response. Perfect. So now we have an API that's functioning. So essentially, we just need to stick this API into our orchestration to get some helpful data back. So let's jump over now to our Workday Send app. And we're using this stock notification application. Where we left off was with this one was we have that stock card that is getting just generic data, open, close, pricing information on a particular stock ticker, and it's pushing it into a work card on the homepage. We're going to update the orchestration to also call that API to get some sort of information back. Changes. Calling party wrapper. Bug this real quick. Meal. Got fingers today. I also saw in the news this morning that Google released a new version of their model. So the Gemini version 3 is out. I still have that tab open. Looks pretty neat. They're claiming it can do quite a bit more in regards to coding and asset generation. So interested to play with that one too. AI these days is kind of moving a mile a minute. So it's hard to keep up with all of the third-party wrapper we made. Probably has to wake up, so that's going to take a second to spin. All right, so my card is still giving me my stock data, and then this is that API that's actually pushing that data into our business object. And then a third API request that we will do will be to the actual Claude. So that's going to be another send HTTP request because it is external. So essentially, let's draw this out a little bit. Do this for a quick second. So this was our little robot completion that Claude won. Select all this, start from scratch. So basically what I want to do, we have our stock orchestration, and this orchestration is going to call Claude and give some information back, and then I want to store that data in the BO. Well, to also share that to my card app. This is going to be that AI info that I also want to share alongside current stock price. So essentially, this home card will effectively look like this. Workday stock price is 230 or whatever it's at today, and whether or not it's a buy or sell or hold. I guess you could also call this the Jim Cramer app. All right. So now we're going to call the Tropic our endpoint. Actually name this a little bit more cool. Adding a little stuff here. So this is going to be call Claude update. Lastly, that stock info object. Calls here. Add those headers. Body. Variables. Hard code for the time being. Essentially going to change this into an actual prompt that will generate dynamically here in our body. Also need to that to our for this. Version. Version. Now we just API key. That. Do an API key. Name the topic. API key. It. Actual API key, so I don't internet. Not want Claude account to $1 million worth of API calls. All right. Now I have Anthropic API key. Oops. Take me back to the app. That's all right. Variable. Name of call it API. Alrighty. Just to let you guys know, what I did here was I added an Anthropic API key, and I made sure that the key value pair matches up to my Anthropic call here. So make sure that key X API key is the field name it'll be looking for here in your key. And then again, just your API key is the actual value. And we're appending that to the header, not the query parameters here. All right. So then I think I can just use my Anthropic specification here, and that should post test it. Again, don't even need to deploy it. Response error method not allowed. It is hitting. It is Cloudflare. I don't think we're running into a down problem. It's probably not allowed. Howdy. Yeah, problem. Oh, on delete? Definitely not. Likely that it Anthropic's awesome. So it posted my message again, seeing the same thing from Postman. Now we can make it a more dynamic. Oh, paste this with our data from our stock data. I wonder if we just ask it current price. So this again is a hard-coded prompt, but just curious kind of what this brings back for me. Do this in Claude itself, but that's the API. Back. So it gives me a big long explanation of doesn't have access. Yes. It into my prompt. You need to grab what this means though for open up my little API wrapper because you recall what all those visual fields mean. I'm looking to definitely. Stock info wrapper. Markdown. Whole thing. Net. Oh, here it is. Repository attributes. So I got current price, change, high of the day, low of the day. grab the stock data. So now I want to do this piece, is calling Claude, but with previous stock data. I'm going to use this get data.response in my calling Claude. It have it judgment call data writing. Going to be stock data, so I have to use that reference to get stock data. String builder here, stock data, full data response, and use advanced mode to grab that reference. That Claude response. Just paste that. Right, it is. Just variable. Set up the brackets. The $sign notation. That should pull the full constant. Fine. I'm putting in there when I'm putting something back at me. Input should be a valid list. It didn't like, but it basically is like you can't just throw in another JSON list into the messages. So, but it did work. It came in as that full response. Now I need to essentially parse this out. So I need to create some values here to be able to reference those instead of this big long JSON mess. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm not blowing everything up in my API call. Create values. This a little bit easier to read and a little bit easier to reference. We'll go back to this. Values. data.c. And we can also give it a key. Current price. One of these I'll be able to. That's pretty cool. All right, there's the. Now I have create values, the current price. I go back to my here, and so I can all these at the same time, and then I can crank through these really quick. I'm going to do current price change. Basically, all this data I want to dump into Claude and let it kind of make a choice for me. Values. Actually, now off of these actions, I don't need to go through nonsense of creating these all manually. I need what's 1, 2, 3. One of these is I mean, change is just the number of points it changes. About high of the day. Low of the day. Good. And open. Open. Or close. Previous close. I guess, yeah, it wouldn't have the previous close. It doesn't. Almost there. These at once. So close. Why? easier, I feel like, when you're doing stuff like this. The rest should be good. Let's is L. Open it. All right. Being added. Okay, cool. These are all now being added to create values. Now I can dump them into my Claude. I didn't even realize the time. I do need to drop, guys. I think next time we will be able to stick all this into our Claude API and then finally get that that buy sell rating onto our home card. And then maybe we'll jump into creating an agent, like an actual agentic type of experience here, where it's, you know, maybe getting some data for you on the fly from that home card. All right, we'll see you guys at the next one. Thanks all.